I'm finally back. And to those of you that are watching right now, I am sorry right now for two things. One, I'm sorry for the fact that my beard is not shaven. Terribly sorry about that. Didn't have time. But the second thing I'm sorry for is in case any of what I'm going to say in this video offends you or riles you up inside, or if it goes against your beliefs, or if it goes against anything really that you hold strongly, I'm sorry, because it's almost guaranteed that it's gonna ruffle some feathers. But I'm not doing this to stir up an uprising or to get a reaction or to make a name for myself or anything. More than anything, I just want to share my heart for a second. And like, I know this isn't the return video that you guys expected, but you know, life happens. And I don't know if all of you are aware or not, but recently there was a recording put out. It happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and a man by the name of George Floyd was murdered on camera. A man, I can't even look at the news article because every time I look at it, my soul is like grieved. But all I know is a man had his knee pressed on his neck and he said, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Everything hurts." And he said those words until he finally died on camera in front of a group of people that witnessed this happen, in front of the officer that saw him doing this and did nothing about it. So I decided today to make my YouTube return because there's only so much injustice and different things that happen that you can take and like process as a person before you have to wrestle with the decision to be desensitized to it or to feel motivated enough to act. And that was a big thing that I wrestled with for a long time because I was afraid of the kind of reaction that I would get based off of my views, my feelings, my emotions about the different situations that have happened and the different instances where police brutality occurs. But I decided to write a piece about what I've been feeling in my heart and what I've been mulling over and what I'll continue to think about. And if, you know, after this video you want to chop it up, you want to talk about it too, we can chat right in the comments. If not, and you just want to go on by with your day, that's perfectly fine too. Don't even know what this, it was supposed to be this, but it ended up nonetheless. But yeah, so the title of this piece that I'm going to be sharing with you guys is called Breathing Ain't Easy. Hope you guys enjoy. For years now, I've wrestled with whether my life carried any value here in America. Land of boundless opportunity, where you can be whoever you want to be and whatever you want to be, except black. America appears to suffer from amnesia because we forget the simple principles left behind for us by our forefathers, that all men are created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator some unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So patriots, I ask you, what brings you so much fear? Why is it that a freedom that is so freely given to all, fragile enough that it could be shattered by my mere existence. You see, long ago, men and women fled to this very land in search of freedom. They came here because they weren't treated how they wanted to be treated. And they fought, and they fought, and they fought until their voice was heard. And it was heard. It was. In 1775, in the springtime, soldiers and troops marched out to wage a war for freedom. In 1775, in the springtime, soldiers and troops marched out, and they did not return back because their bodies laid on the earth like a field, and their blood sprinkled the grass as if it were the morning dew. And on that very land, freedom was won. In February 2012, a rose was cut. He was cut where he stood because fear was given authority to protect the freedom that I understand to be so fragile. In August 2014, a rose was chased down and snuffed out because fear was given the authority to protect the fragile freedom that we understand today. In November 2014, a rose was cut where it stood because fear had given authority to protect the fragile freedom that we understand today. In July 2015, a rose was taken from its freedom on its way back home to its garden. It was taken out and brought into a den of wolves, where it fell victim to the same fate as the roses before it, because fear had given the authority to protect the freedom that we understand to be so fragile. In July 2016, a rose was cut in front of his roses because fear had given authority to protect the freedom that I understand to be so fragile. Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland, Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Mr. George Floyd. These are roses that belonged in the garden of humanity. These are roses that grew alongside other roses that brought so much joy to the communities that they were in, that brought happiness, that brought light, that brought things that we couldn't see before, that brought things that we won't see today because fear had given the authority to protect the fragile freedom that I understand today. Fear cuts down roses that run accidentally onto its property. Fear cuts down roses that look differently from it. Fear cuts down roses and will continue to cut down roses until there are no more roses to spare in this garden of humanity. Breathing just ain't easy. Not for me anymore. Not when I can get profiled and shot right outside my door. Not when I can mind my own business and still be broken down and trampled on for accidentally stepping onto someone else's lawn. Breathing ain't easy, and it'll always be hard. So long as fragile freedom continues to march on. Don't let the names that I mentioned in this video and the countless names that we know have been taken from us, don't let them continue to go unsung. But say their names, say them loudly and proudly. Remember the lives that they lived. Remember that they are roses, precious roses, in this garden that we call humanity. And I ask that as their bodies lay in this field that we know to be America, and as their blood sprinkles the grass like the morning dew, in a fight that we shouldn't have to fight anymore, let it be all the more clear that freedom should not be fragile or controlled by fear anymore.